They left behind no blueprints, no manuals, no signatures carved neatly for us to admire. Just fragments, worn by time, scorched by sun, buried in silence. And yet, these fragments whisper louder than words. A chamber deep beneath the earth hums with acoustics that alter the human mind. Stones in the desert align not by accident, but by celestial law, mapping the sky before pyramids dared to rise. In shattered ruins and forgotten tunnels, we uncover technologies not just advanced, but seemingly impossible. Glass that changes color like it breathes, carvings in granite smoother than what modern drills can replicate. Hydraulic systems so precise they're still flowing after thousands of years, long after their creators vanished from memory. For centuries, we labeled them primitive. But what if we were wrong? What if time has lied to us? These aren't scattered anomalies. They are clues to a world that once pulsed with knowledge, with invention, with a vision we no longer understand. Before we built satellites, they were measuring solstices with stone. Before we bent light in labs, they were crafting magic in glass. Before we carved roads, they were tunneling through mountains. Somewhere along the way, we lost what they had, or worse, buried it under layers of arrogance. This is not a story about ancient myths. It's a quiet confrontation with our own assumptions, a reckoning with the ruins. Welcome to 10 ancient technologies that might just be better than ours. Long before pharaohs carved their names into stone, before pyramids clawed at the desert sky, there was Nabta Playa, a dried lakebed in the Egyptian Sahara where nomads gathered not to farm or build, but to observe the stars. Scattered across the sand are stones, worn and forgotten, yet deliberately placed, aligned to the rising sun at the summer solstice. Their silence hides a staggering truth. This circle, this calendar, is older than Stonehenge. No cities, no temples, no kings. And yet, they tracked the heavens with an understanding that would rival entire civilizations to come. They mapped the sky while others still crawled through the fog of prehistory. Who were they? What did they see up there? So vital, so sacred, that they anchored it to the earth in stone. The answers have vanished into the dust, leaving only the arrangement behind, like a clock with no hands. It sits under the sun, forgotten and scorched, a ghost of cosmic precision etched into the bones of the desert. Beneath the plains of Cappadocia, where soft volcanic rock crumbles under the weight of centuries, there lies something deeper than mere ruins. A city, hidden not in valleys or cliffs, but buried in the very earth. Derinkuyu, carved into the stone like a wound in time. It descends more than 250 feet, with narrow passageways, ventilation shafts, kitchens, wells, wine cellars, even a school. Room after room spirals downward into darkness, enough to shelter 20,000 souls. No sunlight, no stars, just the echo of breath in hollow stone. How did they do it? With what tools? What knowledge? And why? Was it refuge from war? From a climate catastrophe? Or something worse? Forgotten now, yet so feared they chose to vanish beneath the soil. Entire communities lived and moved in silence underground, while the surface world passed unaware. It is not merely architecture, it is survival written in obsidian walls. And even now, as tourists walk through the shadows with flashlights and cameras, Derinkuyu keeps its true purpose locked behind stone doors and unspoken histories. A labyrinth not just of chambers, but of questions. Scattered across the jungles and plains of Costa Rica lie the remnants of a riddle. Massive, perfectly round stone spheres, some as small as a fist, others heavier than trucks, resting silently where no one remembers placing them. They are made of granodiorite, carved without the use of iron tools, long before the arrival of Europeans. There are over 300 of them, some buried, some aligned, others seemingly tossed by time. And yet, each orb hums with precision, not just in form, but in defiance, of erosion, of understanding, of purpose. What were they? Boundary markers? Celestial maps? Symbols of power? Or offerings to forgotten gods? The people who made them, the Dikis culture, left no written records. Only the stones remain, mute and monumental. In the 20th century, many were moved or destroyed by treasure hunters who believed gold was hidden within. But no treasure was found, only silence and roundness, like the sun, the moon, or time itself. A geometry that refuses to explain itself. And so they sit, waiting for the language we've lost to return. Beneath the towering ruins of temples and the worn feet of statues that have outlived entire empires lies something even more perplexing: the stone itself. In places like Abydos and other sacred sites, granite blocks bear marks that do not belong to copper chisels or human hands. Deep, spiraled grooves bored into the hardest stone, as if a modern drill had passed through them. But 4,000 years too early. Engineers today struggle to replicate these cuts with the same precision using handheld tools. Some of the core samples show feed rates and uniform pressure that suggest rotary motion far beyond what a bow drill or pounding stone could achieve. These are not mere quarries, they're messages, etched not in words, but in technique, in silent, impossible craftsmanship. Were these the tools of forgotten artisans, or something more? Some have speculated about lost machines, others about techniques passed down from civilizations long since swallowed by the sands. But no tools have ever been found. Only the stone remembers, and it refuses to lie. It whispers of hands that shaped the impossible, of a people who left behind not only monuments, but mysteries carved in bedrock. It sits in a museum today, quiet, unassuming, yet utterly impossible. The Lycurgus Cup, crafted in the 4th century CE, is a masterpiece of Roman glasswork, and something far stranger. To the naked eye, it's just a beautiful goblet, depicting a myth etched into colored glass. But then, the light shifts, and everything changes. When lit from the front, it shines a soft green. But when illuminated from behind, it turns a blood-red glow. This isn't art, it's nanotechnology. The glass contains particles of gold and silver so small, just 50 nanometers wide, that they manipulate light at the quantum level. Modern scientists only began experimenting with similar techniques in the 20th century. And yet, here it is. From a time when no one even knew atoms existed. Was it an accident of craftsmanship, or did ancient artisans understand something we no longer do? The cup doesn't answer. It simply exists. A relic from an empire that mastered beauty, and perhaps, unknowingly, bent the rules of physics itself. In its glow, we see not just color, but the specter of knowledge long buried. Long before telescopes scanned the heavens, before Newton named gravity or Copernicus reshaped the sky, there were the Sumerians, and they were watching. In the dry clay of ancient Mesopotamia, etched with steady hands, lie the Enuma Anu Enlil tablets, a sprawling record of the stars. More than 7,000 years ago, these people tracked the movements of Venus, the eclipses of the sun and moon, and patterns that unfold over decades, even centuries. They didn't just observe, they interpreted. Each celestial event was a message, an omen. War, famine, kings rising and falling, all written first in the constellations above. But beyond divination, these tablets reveal cycles and calculations that remain accurate even by today's standards. Their lunar tracking matches NASA records. Their eclipse predictions rival early modern models, and they did it without satellites, without metal instruments, without modern mathematics. They watched the sky with nothing but their eyes, and yet somehow they understood its language. We gaze into space today with billion-dollar observatories. They gazed with reverence and with fear, and wrote truths into clay that modern astronomers still consult. They didn't just see the stars, they listened to them. In the golden age of Syracuse, when Roman galleys creaked across Mediterranean waters, a mathematician sat by the sea and changed the rules of war, not with catapults, but with sunlight. Archimedes, a mind centuries ahead of his time, is said to have built a weapon of impossible elegance, a death ray. Using polished bronze mirrors, curved and focused like the petals of some deadly flower, he allegedly bent the sun itself into a blade and set enemy ships ablaze from afar. Modern tests have tried and failed to recreate this spectacle, some calling it a myth, others whispering that the technique has simply been lost. But whether fact or fable, the possibility alone hints at something astonishing. An understanding of optics, reflection, and geometry so advanced, it borders on the miraculous. No electricity, no gunpowder, just a man, mirrors, and the mind to turn daylight into destruction. The idea that light, clean, pure, blinding light, could be weaponized thousands of years ago makes you wonder, what else have we forgotten? What brilliance did we allow to slip between the cracks of empire and time? In Archimedes' hands, the sun became a sword, and perhaps, just perhaps, we still don't fully grasp how sharp it really was. Before Rome built its mighty aqueducts, before Latin was etched into marble, there were the Etruscans, a civilization whose name today is barely whispered, whose language lies undeciphered, but whose engineering still hums quietly beneath the soil of Italy. Their tunnels, carved with uncanny precision, wove beneath cities and hills, channeling water like veins through a living body. Centuries before the Roman Empire rose, the Etruscans had already mastered underground hydraulics, drainage systems so effective the Romans would later adopt and expand them. These tunnels weren't crude, they were planned, sloped, and reinforced, designed not only to move water, but to preserve it, to protect cities from floods, and to serve as silent arteries of a forgotten urban mind. In some places, they still function. 2,000 years later, water still flows where Etruscan hands once shaped stone, and yet we barely know them. No grand temples survive, no libraries, just ghostly canals in the dark, and the faint trace of footsteps from a people whose understanding of nature, of flow and gravity may have surpassed even the empire that followed. Civilizations vanish, but sometimes their genius refuses to die. Buried beneath the dust of ancient Mesopotamia, in the ruins of a world that once cradled empires, they found it, a small clay jar, crude in form, unassuming, but inside, a copper tube wrapped around an iron rod, and the silent whisper of power. When mixed with an acidic liquid, this object, now known as the Baghdad Battery, produces a current. A weak charge, yes, but unmistakable. Electricity, sealed inside a relic over 2,000 years old. No writings, no diagrams, no explanation, just a vessel, holding a secret. Was it a tool of science, lost before science had a name? A forgotten ritual, charged with more than just faith? Or a fragment of something far greater, a technology misplaced in the timeline, misplaced in meaning? Even now, we do not know. It remains an artifact of contradiction, too advanced to ignore, too isolated to accept. A dead device, still pulsing with questions. As if the past had found a way to reach across time and tap us on the shoulder. But we turned around, and nothing was there. Modern cities crumble in decades, but Roman harbors, carved into the restless Mediterranean over 2,000 years ago, still stand. Their secret wasn't in the stone, but in the mixture, a lost formula of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater that didn't just resist the ocean, it thrived in it. Roman concrete doesn't decay, it heals. When cracks form, a chemical reaction triggers, sealing the wounds with crystal. It is not just strong, it is alive, self-preserving, self-sustaining. And yet, we lost it. Somehow, a civilization 2 millennia ago mastered chemistry we are only now beginning to understand. They built for eternity, and we, by contrast, build for contracts, repairs, and obsolescence. Their forgotten alchemy was practical magic, cities and roads etched into the earth with permanence as a goal. And still, most of their recipe is gone, scattered in dusty texts and long-dead hands. Concrete that outlives empires, knowledge harder than stone, and just as silent.